You're watching Asian Invasion. This is Tiny Lister.
And we're watching Asian Invasion.
One and only place where you get an insider's view of South Asian living in US.
That's right, Assad. Here at Asian Invasion, we investigate what's hip and new and bring our findings back to you.
We cover global trends in business, art, cinema, and fashion, and introduce you to the fascinating people making it happen.
From established icons to fresh rising stars, we speak to the movers and shakers of Los Angeles' South Asian community. Prashant Shah is currently based out of Hollywood and is responsible for the major films such as Kites, My Name is Khan, and now the blockbuster Raw 1. Let's look at Prashant Shah.
After age 19, I moved out from the industry and got into the corporate world, lived in Africa for a few years, lived in London for a few years, and realized that my passion and dream was always to work in Hollywood. It doesn't matter whether it's you're in Hollywood or you're in Bollywood, it doesn't matter which film industry, whether it's in Nigeria or in New York or in Los Angeles, whether it is in Poly Hill or whether it is in Beverly Hills, the struggle is the same, and the crunching of your time and trying to focus into the market of entertainment world is not as easy or as simple. And in this world, it's not how much of education or what PhD you have and how many degrees you're qualified with or how many people you know with, but it's all about your zealot and your energy that you have to focus into this industry. And that was my first hands-on experience working in USA onto the film industry. And it was quite a challenge in the city of New York to shoot for 15 days with Devanand, his first film in the US, my first film working and trying to make my dream come true. And we did it. So it was a very organic way of filmmaking. But I can say this today that that was the best PhD I had. That was actually my master's of engineering into filmmaking that I learned from a legend like him. And he had the support that he gave me, and he entrusted in everything that I did. So I was not only a production designer, not only his driver, not only his line producer, but also giving him creative ideas on choreography that I had no idea what to do. And we would just decide on the set, and I would tell him, Desa, what is the scene for today? What are we shooting? And he would say, don't worry, let's get to the location, we'll figure out what we're shooting. So it was an amazing way of filmmaking. So typically a line producer is the person who gets outsourced on behalf of a production company or on behalf of a producer. Typically the job responsibility involves not only just making the picture for the company or being outsourced by the production company as a line producer, but it also involves into creating the best logistic solutions and creative solutions for the script that has been given to the line producer. And that's my creative aspect. I figure out in what best capacity, whether it's bringing in a product placement from an advertising agency or making sure there's an Aquafina water bottle on the sets of Dostana, so we get free water bottles for the entire crew for 45 days, where I save $45,000 into my cost, or whether it's trying to get product placements from manufacturers who want to do in-film product placements, so we try and get money for the film. Working with all the big talents out of India, whether it is Rakesh Roshan or Hrithik Roshan, Karan Johar, and now the last project with Shah Rukh. My experience has been that Shah Rukh is a very humble human being, as they all have been, and it has not been difficult yet for me to work with them, and vice versa. We work more like a family. It is not when Shah Rukh calls up or Karan calls up and says, hey, I've got this project and I want you to execute this project. And how are you going to work, and what are you going to do in this? Now those questions are over, where we don't work for each other, we work with each other. Like RA1, when Shah Rukh narrated the script to me and he said, you decide where you want to make this film and we'll shoot it over there, but my dream is to shoot in Tokyo. And that time I said, can of Coca-Cola in Tokyo is anywhere between $2 on the street. And as a producer, I cannot afford that. So Shah-Rukh, let's shift it to somewhere else where I can afford to make this film. And initially it was supposed to be in Miami. We designed the whole film. We spent almost 2 months in Miami trying to put the picture together. And then coincidentally, the London tax incentives came in. And Shah-Rukh said, hey, Prashant, why not we move this to London, and we're getting better incentives, paisa bhi bach jayega, and we'll be able to make the picture. First question he asked me, what do you think of the project? And I said, I don't know, this cannot be a typical romantic family drama film because it's a lot of action, a lot of blowing up of cars and blowing up of buildings and structures. So it has to be a very expensive film, and based just on my understanding of cinema business, at that time I targeted the budget to be anywhere between 18 to 20 million. And he looked at me and said, you sure about this? I said, yeah, I'm sure about that. It may go more. And he said, okay, then let's play this game. I've never indulged into television, so finally I'm getting into television. And I'm producing a television show for MTV. And I have 3 films slated for next year that we are into pre-production. So my goal is in the next 10 years to have an inventory of anywhere between 45 to 50 content, whether it's for handheld, whether it's for television, whether it's for big screen, that we would like to be partner and be owner of. And that is what we are working on with other players that we have partnered with in past and in future that we are partnering with. My strongest message to anybody who wants to be into the film industry or be into the motion picture or television, first aspect is don't try to analyze too much. Just give it a thought because it's a creative world. There is no thesis about it that you have to follow. There is no formula that works. There is no spreadsheet that gives the exact numbers based on what you do and what has to be done. You have to be very organic mentally, emotionally, yet you have to be very alert on the changing trends of the technology that is happening into the motion picture business. Yet at the same time, be very hands-on. You have to know every department from inside out as opposed to outside in. Because if you do not know your basics, if you do not know what your garbage cost will be after the shoot, you will have probably a bill of $1,200 that you never anticipated because the garbage company charges for that location $1,200. So make sure you know from the garbage to the silver screen what it requires into the entire filmmaking process. And just be humble, just be straightforward. Even if people don't like you, or if you may think they don't trust you what you're saying, as long as you know what you're saying is true and is amicable to the team, you have to realize that it is not you who's making a film, it's not one individual who's making a film. From the guy who makes the chai on the set to the person who's in front of the camera, they're equally important. So just treat the entire team like a family, and I think the success will follow.
You know, it is truly inspiring to see South Asian doing so well in so many different areas. What a wonderful start we have. But this is only the beginning.